You did what now?
Nope.
That looked like when I have to adjust my nuts, like because I accidentally sat on my sack or something. That's what that looked like.
That's exactly what happened. I've been found out.
So we're going to talk about some board games we played here.
Yeah, welcome to the bonus episode, everybody.
And this was my idea, so I'm going to let Rayburn talk about the next bonus. Let's start with the board game Versus. It's Verses. It's a play on words, right?
Yeah.
But they are talking about musical verses. They're trying to have you think about songs.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rayburn. Tell us all of your thoughts and feelings and whatever else you have with regard to Versus.
Oh boy, do I have a lot. So Versus was made by Big G Creative and released in 2020. First off, let me start by saying the game creators did not skimp on the design budget for this one. This game is a gorgeous mixture of cream, gold, and matte black. As for gameplay, think Cards Against Humanity meets the music of mixtape. But instead of goofy, playable cards, we're given a wide net of song titles from every genre. Worried you won't know the song? No worries, because this game can double as playing the card literally, so whether you're knowledgeable like your two loser Rated Radio co-hosts that are... so frustrated. Shut up.
That's it. That's the review.
I can't even go back into it. No worries, because this game can double as playing the card literally. So whether you're knowledgeable, like your two loser Rated Radio co-hosts that clearly have way too much time on their hands, or just a normal regular Joe, this game makes for a good time. So I did go through and do a little bit of, I don't want to say extracurricular activity.
All right, I'm going to give my review before you do that. I'm going to break you up. And by the way, poor regular Joe. If your name is Joe and you're out there, everyone thinks you're regular.
Sorry, you're regular.
It sucks.
You know what? I'd rather be regular than not. That was a poo joke.
I don't know about that. Oh, okay. Well, you never know. You wouldn't follow my nut conversation, sitting on your sack conversation, but you'll talk about poop. Versus, yeah, I dug this quite a bit more than I expected. At its core, this is one of a billion takes on the Cards Against Humanity formula. Difference is that this has you plugging in song titles to fit the prompts. That may sound kind of lame, and honestly, I low-key hate that this thing calls itself Versus while having absolutely nothing to do with the verses of any song. It's just the titles. But it's still a strong showing. Firstly, this is owed to the game's fantastic style. The box and cards all look great. I'm kind of saying the same shit. They give you actual guitar picks to vote with. There's only one easy-to-understand page of rules. The song choices are wildly varied, and the prompts are rarely run-of-the-mill, making replayability absolutely possible. The games are wonderfully short. 3 to 6 allowed players cover most at-home crowds. It's not boringly aimed at being accessible to kids. The tiebreakers are fun, and the way people can judge this from a number of perspectives is refreshing. In essence, it's not all for laughs. You could actually take a win with something serious or personal. It's not perfect, though. Font on the cards is hard to read at much of any distance. The way everyone votes is problematic, leaving the game open to favoritism, social pressures, etc. The fact that everyone votes and plays on each prompt does discourage some of the more personal responses from winning. The card count isn't as high as I would have liked. The Versus cards you get on occasion rarely get used, and having only a single way to play is a bit of a bummer. Still, it's a 4-star experience that's worth having on the game shelf of most any music lover, and it's currently only $18 on Amazon. Let's catch this air. Motherfucker literally caught it.
I love that you commented on the picks being like your playable tokens, I guess, because let me tell you, if you don't have nails, this game is a motherfucker. Because you cannot pick up those picks off the table without sliding them to the edge.
Yeah, that's what you do. You slide them off. And they're really nice picks, too, by the way.
They are.
They're marbled, and they are...
And they have verses on them.
You can use them to play guitar with, and they would be my preferred guitar pick. Wait.
Well, there you go. I do agree in the whole everybody laying their picks down at the same time sort of thing, or going around and everybody doing it once. There needs to be a level of mystery there so that there are no unfair bias when it comes to...
If there were some expansion packs you could get and you're prepared to like make your own rule set at home, I think this could easily be a 5-star type of game.
Yeah. And I feel like they're coming for our brand, you know, Versus. Okay, we're going to make it seem like you're putting two songs up against each other, but really you're not. There's no battle.
They're
really.
Not coming for us. They're going directly at that Versus thing You know, like the concerts where they pit two artists against each other on stage.
Yeah, we talked about it on the show. Okay, so Shane gave his rating, but I'm going to talk about my very complicated and annoyingly complicated
Just do it.
Rating. So for setup, I gave a 4. For playability, I also gave a 4. The design was a 5, and the creativity was also a 4, which makes its overall score a 4.5 in my book.
I dig it.
All right.
I don't think your math adds up. But
it doesn't. But who cares?
Nah, I think it would be, you said 3 4s and a 5?
3 4s and a 5. We're not doing the math, though, Shane.
That's 4.25.
4.5. Here we go. On to the next...
Actually, that might even be wrong. No, it's not wrong because it's 4 ratings. You got 4 quarters.
Can we talk about the next board game?
We can.
Please? Okay.
That was my game, by the way. The game you brought to the table is something called Tapple.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about it?
I will. Tapple, which is made by USopoly, released in 2022. After finding this game on TikTok, I was lucky to finally be able to stumble upon it at Target, just on sheer dumb luck. Because everywhere else, they couldn't keep it on the shelves.
I love that you threw finally in there, by the way, because it just makes me imagine you're stumbling around from store to store, hoping to see it.
It was it wasn't available on Amazon. Okay. I couldn't find it at Walmart. I searched places. So I was in Target one day and I was walking by and I saw one game left. So I really did stumble upon it. Get off my dick, Shane.
You were looking hard and still stumbled.
I did. I stumbled. This game is fun for all ages, due in part to its very simple setup and playability. To start, you're given a wheel containing almost all the letters of the alphabet. After you have chosen your prompt, conveniently stored within the bottom of the wheel, you and other players then take turns tapping the corresponding letter that your chosen answer starts with. For example, if the subject is something sticky, I would then think syrup, so I would put down the letter S. I feel like I'm talking to children, but, here we are.
Hi, kids.
And you keep going till either your time or your turn runs out, and if you cannot answer or someone repeats an answer that was already said, you're done.
You're done,
You're
son.
done.
You're done.
You're out. If you cannot answer, then the point would go to the last player that played a valid answer within the time limit. First one to X amount of points wins. Pretty simple, right? So...
All right. Before you get to it, and you sound like you're at a little bit of a loss right here. So
I was going to jump into it, but then I pulled back.
Okay. Give you a little breathing space.
Thank you.
What I mostly like about this game is the way it simplifies the game of categories into a fairly effortless experience. Essentially, everyone has 10 seconds to come up with something new in a given category, such as movies, and have it be something which starts with an unused letter of the wheel. Each card you pick up has 4 categories, and you're free to pick one of the 4 as your topic. Then you name something, press your letter, tap the hand in the center, and it's the next player's turn. There are 144 topics to choose from. 2 people can play this alone, or with up to 8 players total. It's another game which doesn't overstay its welcome, and the $22 list price is a fair one. This all being said, there are plenty of negatives to consider. Categories is typically one of many game types found in the average drinking game, for example, so this isn't the most varied of experiences. Because the timer is always running, it's much rarer that other players will argue that an answer is invalid. You have to constantly be thinking quickly on your feet. Hilariously frustrating though it is when another player steals your letter just before the start of your turn, or your mind goes blank out of nowhere. The rule set for what happens during the second round of letter presses struck me as almost unplayable, and my biggest issue is that certain letters from the alphabet are missing. Things like Q, X, and Z make sense for cutting, but my ass was constantly looking for non-existent U's, V's, and Y's. It also deserves pointing out that most category games don't limit you based on the alphabet, but by repeats alone. So while I thought this game was fun for a round or two, it lands as a 3-star for me, which I wouldn't personally buy for my collection, but this really does feel like a case of personal preference, as I could see lots of people loving this way more than I do.
Yeah. One thing that I will also say is since you don't have a large game board, you really do have to be close to each other because you have to be able to touch the board, see what other people are hitting before your turn. But the reason why I gravitate more towards this game is literally, like I said, it's fun for all ages. Now, I would probably, if it were me personally in an older demographic group of people, I would probably make up my own topics just because it can get a little monotonous. So something sticky, something round, like it's all open to interpretation. Like I'm pretty sure one time one of my nephews said football and I wanted to come back and be like, no, for something round.
That ain't round.
But technically it is. So rather than take any of their time questioning their choice, like you said,
you just keep going.
I just kept going and let it go. But to me, like a football, I would not consider to go in that category.
Yeah, so technically if you want to win, I mean, one, take this to an old folks home because you've got the advantage because they're slow. But two, the other thing is just be thinking of words that start with a letter and they don't have to make sense. So things that are round, I don't know, fan, right?
Yeah.
There's a bit.
I just said a
random word. I've
said Rayburn on that answer, literally.
Calendar.
Yeah.
Like nobody's going to stop you because you're on a timer.
Yeah. So.
Ice cube. You know what I mean? Like...
I mean, eventually it could get round. So for setup, I gave a 5 because it is super easy to set up, not complicated. One sheet of instructions. Playability, a 5. Like I said, it's really easy to play. Not a whole lot of explanation because I cannot tell you the amount of times that we've sat down to set up a game. Setup's too complicated. Reading the instructions is too complicated. And then you have to interpret that and let everybody know all the rules, and you have all the questions because we always have one person designated to reading the rules.
Oh God!
I know.
God!
It's not me. It's always Blue, and
I used
he hates
to really love in-depth games. The older we get, and this is we sit down at the table and like someone starts reading through this massive rule sheet, and I'm.
It's not even worth it. You're like, all right, I'm already checked out. So.
I'm gonna take a nap. Y'all let me know when you know what we're doing because there should just be a quick start guide and we can figure it out during the first round and then we're good.
Yeah, I cannot tell you how many times that somebody reads all the instructions and tries to explain it, and then somebody else goes, "We'll figure it out as we go." You know, for this, you don't have to worry about that because it's a simple, easy setup. The design, lackluster. I gave it a 3. It's not really anything special. That blue, black, and white, it's just, it is what it is. Creativity, again, a 3. I would love either a bigger variety of topics. It would be nice to have several decks depending on the age group and being able to combine them if you have multiple ages in one and it's appropriate. Instead of having, the 4 different prompts on one card and they're all sort of the same basic thing. So overall, I gave it a 4.
A 4.
A 4.
That's right. I was going to get my phone out and do some math and then I realized I didn't have to.
Here I come in the clutch with my math. That was pure guess. But, I would play both of them again. But if I really had to sit down with a group of friends that was roughly the same age as me, it'd be Versus.
Yeah, it's tough too because the Tapple could be played with just about anybody. Versus, you don't really have to be a music fan, but it helps.
Yeah.
It definitely helps. It's one of the few music games that you could play where it doesn't really matter, but it helps. Mm-hmm. And that's cool, but I do think Tapple is probably going to appeal to more people overall. Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, when we sit down to play games now, I want to play dice games or I want to play music games, and that's pretty much where I'm at. I mean, like everything else just kind of...
That's why nobody wants to play games with me anymore, because I keep wanting to play music games because I just find it so fun. And when we broke out Versus, I was just like, this is a cool take on Cards Against Humanity, which we all love, but they're adding the element of music, and I was not expecting that each playable card would be a song.
Gage, I got her a deck of gospel music.
It's over there.
It's a music game of gospel cards where you play kind of the same. I think it's a guessing game, right? You try to guess. Mm-hmm. And we still found a way to have fun with it, even though we have no idea what any of this shit is. Because it's like gospel soul music. Like, I have no fucking idea about most of this. And yeah, we had fun.
Yeah.
I had fun. I'd play it again in a heartbeat. No, it's stupid.
Yeah, it's dumb. But, I guess it's just being able to take something that you love and just play with it and talk about it. And that's really what Versus is to me. And I love the design. I'm like a sucker for that. But
what's the name of that game?
Oh, God. It's in that bottom corner. Are we going to give a recommendation to a gospel card music game?
No.
Yeah. Hold on. Just let me get it.
I don't think she actually knows.
Yes, I have it all organized.
Or she threw it away.
I did not throw it away.
And she's about to get caught.
You're so dramatic. Oh, there it is.
Lyrically correct.
Lyrically correct.
Okay.
Revival.
Well, put it down there. Just go sit back down.
You have to read it.
So the game that it comes from, like, I don't want to recommend Revival Gospel
We
Edition.
don't recommend the Revival Gospel Edition.
But lyrically correct. The reason I got this, I was seeing their products on Vine. They were still showing up even though they weren't available.
Boomer.
This is the only one I could get. But it's a Black-owned business, and like they've got 90s R&B and rap and hip-hop.
I would love
That's what I'm saying. Lyrically
expanding
correct.
on it.
The shit looks amazing. So definitely check those out as well. I just wanted to give a final recommendation. Not for the Gospel Edition, though. Yeah. We did have fun with it.
We did, but
ironically.
Most people wouldn't have fun with it.
Yeah, we made a joke out of it, and that's not exactly what you want to do with your games, but...
Well, now I feel so much better because I did get you Versus as a gift, and I knew style-wise, like subject-wise, you would find an issue with anything, but I'm glad that you enjoyed it as much as you did, and I was thoroughly surprised because I almost didn't take a gamble on it because you just never know with music games.
You don't. And a lot of the time, what I find is things that look really pretty, like games that they really put attention to, the foundation is just shit.
Yeah.
This is a bad game.
Yeah.
Anyway, those are the games. We'll see you in a few weeks, listeners, for the big one.
The big one. Jim Croce versus Dr. Hook.
That's correct. Tune in. We'll see you later.
Farewell, Raiders.
Fill your world with music.